Okay, so Kitayama has just won $3.5 million on the US PGA Tour on the Arnold Palmer Invitational. That was the big breakthrough for him, having come through college golf and then DP World Tour for a couple of seasons, and had some near misses and a few missed cuts, etc. In the last year or so, but now he's had his big breakthrough. So what he tends to do is nice neutral takeaway, club face there, square to the line of his spine, which was what you'd hope for, really. Then from then on, the shaft plane is quite steep. He gets his hands quite high with a slightly open club face position. And from the other angle, you can see, if I'm going to the other side, that left wrist is looking ever so slightly cupped. So from there, you'd expect him to be fading it because that club face is slightly open. But what he does, if we just go back to the other swing again, is he changes the shaft plane. So you go from a steep shaft plane here, which I'll just draw for you, steep shaft plane, okay, to flattening it quite violently. And when he changes that swing plane violently, he's above the plane, but he's not over plane, so they're on plane but above it, if you like. So he what he needs to do is drop the shaft down to the lower yellow line here and find a way of closing the club face. And if you look at this left wrist position here as well, by the time he's got into the point where he's creating force in his downswing, he's beginning to bow that left wrist to close the club face. So it's just a reroute that helps him to not cuss it as much. And he reroutes the club. Now he's on plane halfway down his downswing. His left wrist is beginning to close, and then he rips it through. And by the time he hits it, that left wrist is in quite an extended position. You can see the bowing there, which helps him close the club face when his head is that far back. He's driven his legs so hard. So he's not a player that really likes this reroute very much. So if you look at his stats, when he has a bit more control and he's not too much longer in terms of distance than the average of the rest of the field, then he seems to get more success. He hits the golf course more often. If you are too violent in this action, the chances of getting good club face control are going to be limited. So he'll be working on his tempo and trying to find ways to not reroute so much. And for instance, having slightly flatter hand position at the top will stop it twisting so much. Okay, so he's quite an instinctive player. So his way of practicing that will be some fairly vague, well, not actually vague, but he'll describe them fairly vaguely, positions of trying to get his hands a little flatter, or his left shoulder position at the top to reduce the reroute. But most of the time in the practice he'll work on ball flights. So if he's cutting it too much, he'll just work on hitting some draws, get a feel that he can use, make his changes gradually, because he's trying to perform it every week. He doesn't want to make drastic changes very, very quickly. He likes to concentrate on, I would imagine, tempo, strike, ball flight. And if he's struggling with a certain ball flight, he'll just practice hitting the opposite shot. So it'd be lovely to see what he can do over the next season or so. He's obviously having his breakthrough, so a big talent, and best of luck to him.